Spoiler alert. Elrond and Galadriel set off for Eregion in the Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 4, and the conclusion of Eldest compels Galadriel to leave their company in order to take on Adar's army of orcs. Galadriel may have made a selfless sacrifice by doing this, but Elrond points out an intriguing aspect of her choice. She is not coming back to save the other elves, he informs them. Galadriel offers Elrond her Ring of Power, but Elrond thinks she is more concerned with keeping it safe than fighting the army of orcs. Galadriel defends herself against the orcs, who attack her with remarkable bravery, regardless of her true motivations. Although they would be happy to murder her, their master seems to have other ideas for the heroine of the Rings of Power. Galadriel reunites with Adar, the antagonist of the Rings of Power, following her fall from her horse. Galadriel almost shoots Adar with a blazing arrow, but Adar looks happy to see her. He tells her, "A star shines on the hour of our meeting." While viewers may find this confusing, the Rings of Power Season 2 implies an alliance between the two characters.
Someone awakening evil.
Welcome to Movie Spy. Teases for the Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 4's conclusion. Adar and Galadriel collaborating. The teaser for the Amazon series confirms it will happen. At the end of the Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 4, the elves think Galadriel is giving up her life. But the conclusion of the episode points in a different direction for her. Adar's welcome is not quite as hostile as you might expect, especially considering what happened during their first encounter in Season 1 of the Rings of Power. Although Galadriel is unlikely to warm up to the villain immediately, he nevertheless makes a nice approach. Additionally, we may infer from the second season teaser of the Rings of Power that the two will join forces. The meeting between Adar and Galadriel in Eldest is the first step in this direction. But Galadriel may need some time to warm up to this alliance. Adar informs Galadriel that their shared enemy is revealed in the teaser for the Rings of Power Season 2. Perhaps Galadriel will give in to Adar's plea out of her desperate attempt to make up for her faults with Sauron. This would be the second time a villain from the Lord of the Rings uses Galadriel's objectives to manipulate her. It seems certain that Galadriel and Adar will work together in the upcoming episodes, as the teaser also features footage of them standing in front of an army. Galadriel's decision to work with Adar will be her second grave error in the Rings of Power. The first was to trust Sauron and his rings. Galadriel's alliance with Adar will probably be her second grave error in the Rings of Power. Of course, the first is succumbing to Sauron's trickery. In the first season of the Rings of Power, Galadriel is too eager to put her trust in Halbrand, and in the second installment, she keeps giving in to his manipulation. Galadriel is adamant that Halbrand used the 3 rings he makes with Celebrimbor, even though she knows he is Sauron. It is rather clear from the series that these rings are already warping her and the other elves' perceptions. Adar may have a similar enemy to Galadriel, but that does not remove the fact that he is a villain with self-serving goals. The conclusion of Rings of Power Season 1 is more than sufficient evidence that Adar is not to be trusted. Galadriel and her people might suffer if they collaborate with him, unless she has a secret agenda. The demands of the orcs will come first for Adar, and any partnership's immediate benefits probably will not outweigh the long-term costs of advancing Adar's objectives.
To swear allegiance to Adar, Lord Father of the Orcs.
Galadriel's trust in Adar, the origin story of the Rings of Power. The antagonist was an elf as well before Morgoth found him. Galadriel is willing to cooperate with Adar despite the fact that he does not look trustworthy in the Rings of Power Season 2. This is explained by his past. Galadriel might have a kindred connection with Adar because he was once an elf himself. If nothing else, she most likely understands his situation. Adar only turns into an orc instead of an elf because of Morgoth's suffering. Adar also has the physical characteristics of an elf, in contrast to the other orcs in Season 2 of the Rings of Power. This reminds us of his beginnings and emphasizes the parallels between him and Galadriel. And Adar and Galadriel have more than simply Sauron as an opponent. Galadriel lost her brother to Sauron's old master, much as Adar did at the hands of Morgoth. The two are not just connected by their shared elven ancestry, they have also endured suffering and loss as a result of Morgoth's rule during the First Age. Though it appears clear that their cooperation will end there, this common ground may be part of the reason they are eager to face Sauron together. How Adar and Galadriel are being manipulated by Sauron in the Rings of Power, Season 2. The villain from The Lord of the Rings is influencing them virtually. Since Sauron is a skilled manipulator in J.R.R. Tolkien's novels, it seems sense that he uses the Rings of Power Season 2 to subjugate a number of characters. Galadriel is clearly under the villain's influence from the start of this adventure. Even before he makes the rings, Halbrand worms his way into Galadriel's thoughts by winning her trust in the Rings of Power Season 1. The treachery hurts Galadriel so much that she is determined to make amends, and the High King is unsure if she can handle him alone. This has a direct bearing on her choice to work with Adar. Naturally, Elrond already knows that Sauron is using Galadriel's Ring of Power to control her. Galadriel makes decisions based on the ring, and Elrond does not trust her judgment, even though she seems to be aware of its influence. She will not quit wearing it in spite of this, or even give her life to keep it intact. However, it appears from her visions throughout the first 3 episodes of the Rings of Power Season 2 that Sauron has the ability to control her thoughts, even when she is not around. This is concerning since it might work against her later on in the series. Adar is more subtly manipulated by Sauron, and it is unclear what exactly he has in store for the elf. The first season of the Rings of Power made clear that the 2 antagonists were at war. The reason Sauron appears in Adar's camp in the Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 1, dressed as Halbrand, is probably due to their strained relationship. He is playing with Adar's mind by telling him that Sauron is alive. Though it is unclear for what reason, Sauron probably does not want Adar in the Southlands, the very region of Middle-earth he plans to conquer. Given that Adar's union with Galadriel allows him to eliminate 2 of his adversaries with one stroke, Sauron might even applaud the alliance. They may perhaps demolish one another, sparing Sauron the headache of opposing them. In the Rings of Power Season 2, the characters are actively aiding the enemy, who has always had the upper hand in Middle-earth history thanks to this kind of trickery. Thanks for watching.
Go back to the shadow!